Hi guys, welcome to our webinar. I'm hoping everybody can hear me clearly. If there's anybody that can't hear me, leave a message in the chat. But we'll also be adding a video of this to YouTube after the webinar. So if you have any issues, you'll definitely be able to catch this webinar again on YouTube. Let me give a quick introduction for those of you who missed our previous webinar. My name is Lance. I am the CTO and co-founder of VideoRoom. I manage the technical side of everything, as well as work very closely with BizDev and marketing. Today we're going to be discussing mainly about marketing, very similar to our previous webinar that we did, where we spoke about aggressive marketing. Today we're going to be discussing more a little bit about passive marketing and the different things that you can do for your website, both with VideoRoom's websites as well as your own private websites, that can help you just get yourself out into the market a little bit more, create a little bit more of a brand value, and hopefully bring some more clientele to your properties, and increase your sales. That's the idea at the end of the day. So when we're discussing marketing, there is the two concepts of passive and aggressive marketing. Aggressive marketing, just to recap, is more about going out, putting your name out there, using different platforms such as Google AdWords or Facebook ads, and essentially putting out some sort of, it'll cost you some amount of money to expose your brand. When we talk about passive marketing, that's more letting your websites work for you, exposing your brand without having to create some sort of outlay financially or a minimal outlay, and hopefully reap really, really good profits from that. So essentially, when we're discussing passive marketing, we look at three major categories. We have social, and that would be things such as Facebook, YouTube, Google Plus, which is not really used so much nowadays. I don't think it was ever really used very much. Twitter, Instagram, all of these different social applications or social platforms that you can use to expose your brand to your target market. There's also the virality, which is a separate concept, but it goes together with social. So you share your link, someone else shares your link again, they give it off to another friend who shares the link again, you get a couple of likes and you start creating some sort of a viral trend. And so from a minimal effort, you're now having major exposure. And then the last side that I think is probably the most important is SEO, which is your search engine optimization. Today we're going to be talking mostly about search engine optimization, but I do want to just add a couple of words about passive marketing in general. Passive marketing generally is the whole word of mouth concept, and the word of mouth concept generally is a far more trustworthy way of promoting your brand. So, if I hear about a brand from a friend, I'm more likely to go to that brand, and I've already got some sort of, preconceived notion of the quality of that brand based on the quality of my friend that I got that brand from. And so I'm more likely to purchase on that brand. I'm more likely to be interested. And there's definitely, I'll definitely be spending more time in the site trying to understand what the brand is, especially if it's a product that I'm not aware of, but the people within my circle are aware of that product, because I want to be part of that circle and I want to know what's happening. So the passive marketing is very, very powerful. I think a lot of people don't place enough priority on it. So today we're going to discuss it a little bit more. When it comes to SEO, let's start off with, what is SEO? What is search engine optimization? And what are the benefits of it? So SEO, or search engine optimization, basically is a way that you can expose your website to the different search engines, whether it's Google, Yahoo, Bing, or the other 450, 460 different search engines across the world. It's a way to expose your website to them in a very simple, sorry, that was my phone going off, not embarrassing at all. It's a way to expose your website in a very simple way, in a very easy way, and a very structured way to the different search engines so that they can understand the content of your website, the relevancy of your website, and they can use the outcome of their understanding to present your website to people based on their searches. And this is where we get into keyword searching and descriptions, and we'll discuss it in a moment. When we're looking at SEO, there's another 4 concepts of SEO. I'm just going to throw up something on the whiteboard here so we can have a look at it. Called it, let's go with SEO. So there's basically 4 different sectors to SEO. We will go through each of them. We have technical SEO, which that was what I previously mentioned about the content structure and the way that you can expose your website and the relevancy of your website, and really tell the search engines what your website is about, what product you're selling, or what you're really doing, so that they can target the correct audience. The content on your website should also be built and structured in a way that's SEO friendly. We'll discuss SEO friendly in a little bit. And then there's on-site and off-site SEO. On-site SEO is more the structure of your content, where you place your content, how often you're placing new content, and the relevancy of your content throughout your site. And then we have off-site SEO, which is, I've put it here, it's not something we're going to discuss today because it's, for me, a lot less relevant. But it's essentially the strategy of link building. It's a concept all on its own, and we could probably discuss that for a couple of hours. So we'll keep that off the books for today. So let's go into technical SEO and just discuss it a little bit. I think probably the greatest failures that people have when they're doing SEO from their websites is missing technical understanding of, I have a website, I have content, I've created a title, I've done keyword research, I've created a keyword, but how do I know that Google's actually seeing it? How do I know that Yahoo is seeing it? How do I know that they're indexing it properly? How do I know that it's being indexed at all? How can I check what pages I have that need to be indexed? There's a lot of these questions that people fail on, and there's a lot of, there's the technical side essentially of how to do it correctly. So we'll discuss a couple of topics. There's crawling. So can Google crawl your website? If Google gets one of your URLs, whether it's from their robots or if they can get one of your URLs from a different website because you've done off-site SEO linking, if they go into that link, does your website show up? Or do they get an error? Very important. It sounds very simple, but it happens quite often that there are broken links. There are links that don't work. There's links that load something that may be different to what the expected loading would be or is non-relevant. So crawling is very, very expensive. Lost my words right now. Crawling is very important for Google because it's the way that Google really understands the internet and makes all of this connections between everything. Indexing. Does Google know what pages it needs to index? Are there pages within your website that you're not linked to or that Google can't find for some reason? Generally, we resolve this using a sitemap. Is your website good for mobile? Does it load fast enough? Is it search friendly? Are you using a CMS? Is your content structured? What is the hierarchy of your URLs? So this is a couple of concepts that are interesting. And I think I want to just touch on hierarchy for a moment. I'm just going to add it in. I can't add it into here because this is a PDF, but we can. I don't know where I went right now. What happened there? Let's try and reload that. Well, let's discuss hierarchy quickly. So we'll jump into this board over here. Let's say, for example, I have a website that sells fruit. All right, and that I buy a domain. It's fruit.com. Obviously, Google will come and they have a look at this domain and they say, well, we understand from the domain that there's a high chance that you may be selling fruit. But there's all different types of fruits. So I could have something like fruit.com/apples. Now Google understands that this part of my website is selling apples. I could also have another fruit.com/pairs, and Google will know that this is the section where people can search for pairs. So if people come into Google now and they search for where can I buy fruit or apples, they would know to direct someone to the apples page as opposed to just to the fruit.com page. Essentially, you can now create a far greater hierarchy. So let's grab that and let's say, well, we've got a couple of different types of apples. Let's just give that a normal size. So for example, I am also selling Granny Smith apples, or I could be selling, I have no idea what other kind of apples there are. Let's say, for example, I'm selling green apples or I'm selling red apples. So now I start creating a very relevant hierarchy. And through this hierarchy, I'm now able to expose to Google the structure of my website, and they can really understand that very easily. And I can then, basically, I'm helping them help me get the right people to the right page. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So let's just see what happened here. Seem to have, on page 2, that's what happened. Okay, that made sense. So that's hierarchy. And this is technical SEO. I would suggest that, even if you already have a website, maybe you should sit down, have a look at your technical, understand the structure of your website, understand that everything flows clearly, and understand, also just to future-proof, to create blocks of where you want things to go. So at VideoRoom, with our structure, for those of you who have built a website with us, you'll notice that we have 2 different sections. We have the option for you to create a page, and we have the option for you to add scenes to that page. And our automated system creates your URLs in exactly this type of structure. So when you come in and you're creating a room that's, let's say, a classic suite, and you want to have an image of the bathroom, or an image of the bedroom, or an image of the entrance of the classic suite, these URLs will be representative of the names that you define. So when someone comes in and says, I'm looking for a classic suite at Hotel ABC, and I want to know what the balcony looks like, well, they should get that long tail search result directly to them. A little bit about on-site SEO now. And I know everything that I've spoken about up until now is essentially on-site, but it's more the structure of the site itself in terms of SEO. There's certain things that once you've done your structure, now you need to have to understand what are you actually going to do with it. So I know that I need to have a certain hierarchy. I know that I'm indexing properly. I know that everything's crawlable. I've opened a Google Search Console account. I'm able to track everything there. I can see that everything's good. But now what do I do with it? Now I need to start filling in those gaps. So first off, you need to start doing some keyword research. You need to understand what's relevant for what page. Essentially, I just realized I've said the word essentially quite a lot in the last couple of minutes, but I think I say it a lot when it comes to SEO, because SEO is really essential to the success of your website. So again, essentially, keyword research is what's going to allow you to expose the different pages over and above the name of your URL. So I would suggest finding 1 or 2 keywords per page, nothing more, creating content for those keywords, and really being able to focus. So rather create a lot more content that's relative to very specific keywords, so that when people search, they get exactly what they're looking for. And I think that's also a very important point. When you search, you want to get what you're looking for. And I know that sounds like very common, very obvious. You search, you want to get what you're looking for. But a lot of people fail in this aspect because they try and put too much into one place. They're trying to make the big sale, and it doesn't work that way. And I think Google understand that themselves, especially in their search engine algorithm, and the trend that Google has been going over the past couple of years, 10 years, 12 years, in the improvements with the algorithm. There's one common factor that Google keeps pushing out, and that says, give people websites and content that's useful for them, that's relevant for them, that's humanly understandable. And their algorithm is becoming more and more human. It's really starting to understand and feel better the content of your site. And so, you know, in order to future-proof your website from all of the future Google updates that are going to be, don't think about how Google analyzes your data, but think about how you want people to analyze your data. Make it human, so that Google, because that's the direction Google's going, and they'll get there. Even if you can beat them to that point, you're doing well. So going back to keyword research, it's important to put down keywords that are relevant to people, what people will actually search. There's a number of different tools that you can use for keyword research. I know that Google has, and this is what I use quite often, is in the Google, I think it's in Google AdWords. I don't remember exactly where it is offhand, but they have their trending tool, their keyword trend tool, and their keyword research tool. And you should probably use that to understand what the trends of keywords are, the number of searches, as well as the difficulty in terms of ranking for that keyword. Descriptive URLs. Descriptive URLs, that kind of goes back to the concept of the hierarchy that we discussed previously. You know, give meaning to what the page is about. Let someone understand what they're getting into before they even get into it. That's an important one as well. And a lot of people today, they don't have time to click and read and click and read and click and read. People skim. A lot of the search results that they look at, they'll even skip the first 2 or 3, look at the 4th one, see what the title is. If it interests them, they'll click. If it doesn't interest them, they're not going to click. So if your URL and your URL shows up in the search engine, if it's not descriptive, then all you're doing is creating a very, very big difference between what the person expects to read about and what they're actually going to read about. And so you're creating a difficulty for yourself with users once they come into your page. Is this relevant to them? If it's not, they're going to get frustrated. There's this frustration factor, and you need to reduce that. And this is all about, you know, using the correct keywords. Are you relevant? Descriptive URLs, page titles, which is the next point. Be descriptive. Explain exactly what your content is about. Let it make sense. Meta descriptions, which is the same essentially as, you know, we often mix our meta descriptions and our page titles, and it's just about to say that meta description is the same as your page title. Your page title generally should be probably a shorter version of your meta description, and all of these, your URLs, your titles, and your descriptions should at least contain one of your keywords or the major keyword that you're defining for your page. Content optimization. I can't really tell you what's the best for you. I think that's really relevant to the amount of content you have, the type of content that you have. But again, you know, when you're looking at your content and you've got written content, think of how someone would feel about reading that content. You know, if you want to expose certain keywords and you put them into bold, and now all of a sudden you've got, like, on a 500-word article, you've got 300 words that are made bold. It all of a sudden becomes a very, very difficult article to read. So user readability, user interaction is important. Be careful with the way that your content looks and feels, because that is content optimization. Don't just throw in random words because it's a keyword for you. Let it make sense. It's probably better to have your keyword appearing slightly less, but having your article be relevant, because people will share relevant articles, things that make sense to them, that they're happy to read, that make them feel good about themselves. They'll want to share it with their groups, and that's, you know, SEO now going back into social. Everything links up at the end of the day, and that links up to the next point, which is the user experience. Which that's, you know, everything's, as we've just said now. You make your content readable, make your content good, make your site feel easy to navigate, and then last of all, calls to action. Strong calls to action, what does that really mean? It means, make it very clear. If you want someone to add something to their cart to purchase, let them know that when they click that button, they're going to be led to a checkout. They're going to be purchasing. If you want them to share this article, let them know they're going to be sharing this article with that call to action. More importantly than that, I wouldn't put more than 1, maybe 2, and that's pushing it, call to actions on a single page. Because at the end of the day, you know, if we're looking at the whole funnel from what we discussed of the hierarchy, the structure of the URL, all the way down, really the goal of that page is to do one thing, and that's to sell a specific item. So if I'm, again, creating my page on my Granny Smith apples, and I have a call to action there, my call to action is going to say, add Granny Smith apples to your cart. I'm not going to put a call to action there about, would you like to see other fruits? Maybe off to the side, I'll have another menu item or a search that can let people search for other fruits. But that page's job is to sell fruits. It's to sell Granny Smith apples. And if that page isn't selling those Granny Smith apples, then that page is not doing its job, and that page needs to be either removed or fixed. So let's move on. That's really on-site. One extra one, forgot about this one. Structured data. I say data. That's my accent. Structured, but I'll say data for everybody else. Structured data markup. So there's a couple of different data markup tools that are available now. One of them is Schema.org, which is a great one. Schema.org is basically a structure that allows you to expose more in depth the content of your website. So you have not just the content of the website, but also the business that's actually sitting behind the website. So using Schema.org, you can expose things such as your business address. You can expose things such as your business ratings. You can expose things such as your business telephone number. And all of these things, Google and all the other search engines will take care of. Very useful. Then there's the other type of markup, which is the social markup. And that's Open Graph Protocol, which was created by Facebook. I know that there's Twitter cards as well. They follow the same protocol as the Open Graph. And this is just a way to expose your website to social platforms. So, there's that question of, and as a developer, a lot of people have asked me this question before. They say, when I share to Facebook my link, how come I don't see a picture? Like, how do I get that picture there? I see everybody else has that picture. Why don't I have it? And this is because other people are using the Open Graph Protocol markup, because they're saying to Facebook or to Twitter, when you take this link, this is the image that's related to that link. And this is what I want you to show. There's a couple of tools in Facebook itself which allow you to analyze each of your URLs and see what will show up. What they'll show up is the description. And using, obviously, the Open Graph Protocol, you can manage the title and the description and the images and everything that's going to show up on Facebook. Again, all of this stuff that I've spoken about is all built in. It's part of the core structure of the VD Room websites that we build for you. So when building your virtual reality, because we're using content, our content is visual as opposed to written. There needs to be another direction in order to really expose what the website is about. However, Google is getting pretty smart nowadays. I've seen a couple of searches for some of our clients that are coming up based on the images. So I've seen, for example, someone searched for a coffee shop in one of the cities. And the site came up, and I said, wow, this is interesting. We didn't have any keywords there for a coffee shop. I went and had a look at a site, and yeah, we have a picture of the exterior of the building, and right next to the building is a coffee shop. So Google's starting to pick up on these things. Bringing me back to images and the control of it. So data markup is interesting. It's useful. I would use it. We use it. And it's definitely helping us to expose more in depth what the website is about. So I see we have a couple of questions. I'm just going to finish off on the last part, and then I'm going to jump into some questions. When I say a couple, there's one at the moment. So let's feel free to open up conversation, ask me a couple of questions. Content, what you do and where you do it. So there's really 3 different types of content that we can discuss. And so this goes, based on site SEO. Well, what kind of content am I going to create that is on site, that fits in with my technical specification? So we have service content, credibility content, marketing content, and that really helps you separate your site, split your site. If you can create these content groups, so that you can get the right people to the right pages at the right time. Service content, as it says here, what you do and where you do it. So, about us pages, contact us pages, information about who we are, what we do, what the product is, how we can benefit you. This seems kind of marketing, but it's more about, straight out what we are, what we do. There's then marketing content, which is more, I just skipped credibility. We'll get to that in a moment. Marketing content is more related to PR. Let's put it like that way. So, for example, you would create a number of different landing pages with maybe some campaigns. So, if you're a product that's, let's say, again, I'm selling my fruit. I'm feeling very, very fruity today. So, if I'm selling my fruit, and I want to have some sort of campaign, because I see I ordered way too many Granny Smith apples, and I know that they're all going to go bad in a couple of days. So I rather make a couple of bucks off of that and sell it for cheap, even if it's at below cost. At least I wouldn't have lost all my money. So I can now create a separate page that would say, hey, guys, we're having a fruit for all festival, Granny Smith apples, 90% off. And that's really marketing content. And I would use that to kind of expose, and I would use that on-site SEO or on-site content in my aggressive marketing. But that can also fit with SEO because people can see what's happening for that content. And then lastly, there's the credibility content. So credibility is, it's really basic at the end of the day. Why should I trust you? That's what it comes down to, and it's a very difficult question to answer. I've been asked that question a lot of times. Why should I trust you? For me, the answer is generally, let's go with it. Take a chance on me, and give me the opportunity to fail you. So as long as I'm not failing you, you can trust me, and over time that trust builds. But when we're talking about content on your website, credibility content on your website, it's far more difficult than having that direct conversation. So, credibility content is things like clients that have said, well, we bought fruit from fruit.com. They were the best Granny Smith apples we ever tasted. We suggest buying Granny Smith apples from there. And so that's really what credibility content is. You can also expose this, again, using structured data markup. With Schema.org, they have a section there to allow you to expose user feedback. And then we discussed this previously, offsite link building. I'm not going to get into it. It's a bit it's a big topic. Maybe during one of the next webinars we'll get into it. Now I'd like to answer a couple of questions. So let's see. How does this relate to Video Room? I'm not quite sure what that means. How does this relate to Video Room? I'm going to assume the whole concept. How does SEO or marketing relate to Video Room? So, well, obviously, we have integrated as much SEO and the best SEO practices that we can find. We're continuously testing the SEO concepts within the Video Room platform. So when you come and you build your own website, first off, we already give you the best structure that we can based on the hierarchical content and everything that we can do for you. We also offer you the option of creating your own SEO titles, SEO descriptions. Pretty soon, we're also going to have exposure there for all the structured data markup, which today we're doing automatically, but we also want to give our users the option to fine-grained control over their structured data. And so that's really where it comes into play. We talk about SEO because we think that SEO is important. SEO is, at the end of the day, it's a means to passive income. Your site is sitting there, it's working, it's not costing you too much money to be exposed on Google search, and hopefully you're getting income from that. It's most likely your cheapest marketing channel that you have. One other thing that I just wanted to add about SEO is the mix between, you know, what more does SEO do for me? And SEO, again, it creates the relevancy for your website. Now, when you're looking at things such as Google AdWords and the way that their system works, they're going to be charging you based on website relevancy. So if you're trying to create an advert for a specific keyword for a landing page of yours, and Google will look and say, well, what is the relevancy of this page to your keyword? If that relevancy is very minimal, obviously the charge is going to be higher, because Google says, well, we'll direct them there to you, but we rather direct them to something that's relevant. So if your SEO is good and your direction is good, essentially it'll also help you to bring down the costs through Google AdWords or potentially other ad systems. Right, next question. What guarantees of good SEO can I get from different companies? What guarantees of good SEO can I get from different companies? I think it's very difficult to really say what is the guarantee of good SEO. It very much depends on what market you're in. There's certain markets that are very, very competitive in terms of SEO. There's certain markets that are less competitive in SEO. I know that, you know, just off the top of my head, certain things that if I'm working with an SEO company, I would like to know from them would be a report on a weekly basis saying, this is the structure of your website that we have created. For each website or for each page, these are the target keywords that have been set up for each page independently, as well as results on where are those pages listed currently in Google. Is that page for that keyword listed in second place, first place, or is it on the 20th page? You know, they really need to define their value for you. Are they doing their job well? And you need to take the decision if, you know, what well actually means to you. If you're happy with being on the third page, then that's up to you. Yeah, that's I couldn't say anything more than that about it. Last one. Then your SEO is better than in other companies that deal with VR tours. I don't generally like to compare our SEO with other companies, and the basis behind that is we're not an SEO company. We don't provide SEO as an SEO company, so we're not going to go and define what your descriptions are, and we're not doing the keyword research for you. We're providing SEO services, SEO as a service. So within our system, you can define your own SEO. Are we better than other companies that are dealing with VR tours? I can tell you that most other VR tours, in fact, all of them that I've checked up until today, don't offer you one very simple concept, and that's the hierarchy of different URLs per page. Maybe if you guys can find another VR company that does offer you that, I'd be very interested to see how they're doing it and what they're doing. But that for me is the very base of SEO. So if you don't have your hierarchy, it's very, very difficult to build up on that. So confidently, I'm going to say that our SEO tools and our SEO strategy is very good. Is it better than other companies? I'd rather not make a comparison. I think that's a comparison that you need to make for yourself. You need to come in, build a site with us. You get 1 month free, so it's free to try and test it out and see how it goes, and you can make that decision. Maybe in the end, we'll be able to use your feedback for our credibility content. So I see there's no other questions. I hope that that everybody's found this webinar somewhat interesting. We're going to be putting up another webinar in the next 2 weeks. We haven't really decided exactly yet what we're going to be talking about. It would be great to get a bit of feedback from you guys. Maybe there's some topics that you're interested in hearing about and that you want us to talk about. We'd be happy to talk about it. You guys can contact us. Let me just type it up here. We have customer care at VDroom travel.com. You can catch us at https www.videoroomtravel.com. And yeah, so if you've got any feedback or you want to hear about any specific topics, or you're interested to know what we're doing, feel free to jump out, reach us on customer care at videoroomtravel.com, or come onto our website. We have a chat there. You can access it at any time. I'm generally available on the chat, so you can speak with me directly. I love speaking to you guys. It really helps me understand my clients better, understand what you guys are looking for. And at the end of the day, I want to build a system that all of us can really, really succeed and do well. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next webinar. It's been fun, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one till then.